Hey, Pancake.
How you doing, buddy?
Good, good. Glad you can make it. Give me 1 second.
Sure thing.
Try speaking.
Yeah, test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay. Is my voice like getting chopped off at the end? I was testing in Discord and it was chopping me up during the test.
No, I think you sound good now.
Okay, thanks. And looks like Esper Knight is in here. Hi, Esper Knight. I don't think we've spoken before. I think I.
Hey,
Hey, how's it
I
going,
don't think
Esper?
so either. Hey, pretty good. Yeah, I don't think we spoke before either, but I figured I'd jump in and. So, are you doing it both on Discord and Twitch, or I guess Twitch is like the main thing?
Yeah, I don't have a stream running on Discord right now. Just
Ah,
just on Twitch.
gotcha. Yeah, I figure I'll join in and listen.
The more the merrier.
Yep.
Yeah, cool, cool. Just 2 minutes before we can really get started for realsies. I hope everything sounds good on everyone's end.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the layout you have on the stream with the text on the side there.
Yeah, the totally Racing Lagoon menu text.
Yeah.
It's so distinct. It's so Racing Lagoon. It's
Yeah. Oh man.
remember Racing Lagoon?
Oh, did you ask if I remember Racing Lagoon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just thinking, it's like, man, since the since it released, gosh, yeah, I haven't like, yeah, I certainly haven't played it. But on the Twitter, I follow the Racing Lagoon quote bot, so like every day I always see Racing Lagoon quotes.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
man.
I guess I still kind of, it's still part of my life, my daily intake to some degree. But yeah,
So many good lines. So many good scenes.
yeah, I'll have to have my memory jogged a little bit. I feel like everything moved so fast. Like I think like back when it was happening, that was one of the things people were saying. It's like, holy crap, this is coming out quick. And I don't know, maybe it was like one of those things where it's like a lot of energy all at once, and then when it was finished, it's kind of like poof, and then the cool down is, I guess, equally as intense. Maybe for me, I'm not sure. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to like revisiting stuff or remembering things. Oh man, though, yeah, so good.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot planned for tonight. Um, I think we're just gonna start at the beginning and go through a bit of the game and what we remember about each little bit of it, and tell a few stories and hopefully take some questions from anyone.
Yeah.
Um, Give me just 1 second. Yeah, seeing some people trickle in.
Yeah, that's
Um,
exciting.
he visited Yokohama recently.
Hmm.
Well, I have never actually been to Japan. Um, unfortunately. Pancake, though, lives in Japan, actually. In Yokohama, I believe.
I do. I do. I'm technically in Yokohama, even though like if I want to get to like the places that a lot of the places that Racing Lagoon happens in, it's like maybe like an hour-ish of traveling. But it's still relatively close, yeah.
Hi, Arya. I see Arya's here. She's another fan translator
Cool.
who recently released RMJ. Very cool game.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Awesome.
Guten Tag.
Hey, who was that? That is Sid. Nice to see you.
Hey,
Hey, glad to be here. I
Yes.
apologize for my slightly crunchy mic quality. I did not realize that this was the 1 year anniversary and that today was the day it was. And yeah, I'm currently visiting my father as I
Yes.
get a cannonball across the country.
Hello?
Hi.
No, hi.
RX is here as well. RX and Sid were automotive consultants on the Racing Lagoon project. I actually didn't really know what to call you guys, so I just came up with automotive consultant. But you guys did a lot of stuff on like
Yes.
Yeah. A good way to explain it to the chat, if you don't want the professional title, is that we're kind of just the car/racing game nerds. So a lot of what we did to help out was clear up a lot of the language in terms of how racing games are played, as well as looking over the automotive parts and language and stuff like this, because despite being a JRPG, this is also very much a proper automotive car tuner game. Like it was already authentic feeling when we played through it without the localization, but as things were reverse engineered, we kind of realized that this was a very, very deep rabbit hole, and it was put together by people who really loved cars.
Color me surprised that it took you going through that in order to realize that, whereas I think we'd been playing it, what, 5 years we'd known each other? That was painfully obvious from the immediate get-go of first firing the game up for me almost a decade ago that it's like, no, whoever worked on this, they knew.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
don't know.
I didn't know the extent of what they knew. Like, because it is incredibly in depth and stuff like that. But even you had to have been blown away when we saw things in like cut code that was like the sequential compound turbos and stuff like that.
Yes, I'd been playing with cheats with the game for a number of years, so I had a very, very good idea of what all was going on, and that's like, no, they put a lot more thought into this than I thought, but how deep the rabbit hole truly ran was only uncovered when Hilltop started poking around in the files.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's quite a bit of unused stuff in this game, actually. Um, hold on, let me just get this video. Oh no. There we go.
Oh, that's
Real quick,
that's a beautiful background.
other person on the stream is a bit quiet. Who are you referring to? Is it my
I
voice
I
or is it
think
Tycho?
I think that's Pancake.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I guess test. Is it me?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
you.
All right. Let's see. Maybe
I
turn
mean,
this knobby knob up.
if that doesn't work, Hilltop, you can just right-click their name and just boost their volume. It should be
Oh,
set to 100%.
yeah, I can bring you up to like 150.
Oh, sweet. He's at 9,000.
Okay,
I think you're gonna need a 200%.
A two. Oh, is it that quiet, huh? Maybe my gain's a little low. I just turned up the gain about, I don't know, 20%. How's that?
I think that's good now.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good. Does that sound all right for everyone else in the chat? If you don't mind.
Yeah, they're saying it sounds good.
Excellent.
Fight Magic Item Run. That's a name I recognize. How's it going?
Magic
Um,
item. Oh, fight magic item.
Going
I
pretty
like
well.
that name.
All right, I think we can talk a little bit about I was thinking that we would go through this like kind of bit by bit and talk about what we encounter in the game. So right off the bat, we have this name entry screen, and this name entry screen looks really clean right now. Well, it wasn't always like this. The original name entry screen had a whole bunch of different options for different ways of inputting Japanese text that we had to remove. The default name that appears at the top there, show, changing that was quite a bit more difficult than it would seem because it was being basically formulated out of discrete like CPU instructions that were like adding each letter one by one. So a whole bunch of stuff, technological problems with translating this game like right off the bat. The fact that we even have this much space to write the name at all, I had to do a weird hack in order to get 8 characters instead of four for first and last name. So like right off the bat, this game lets you know that it's not going to be an easy game to translate.
Just something as simple looking as the text entry box being that complicated, that is one hell of a red flag.
Yeah, this game pulls a lot of weird tricks to make our lives difficult. Like this screen was also difficult because this is a weird, like, animated background. There was a little bit of it that was animated, and we'll get into it a little bit later. But this game has a graphical optimization where it only stores non-repeated boxes. It splits the graphic into different like little squares and then matches up the squares later at runtime. It's a big pain in the butt. But they had to do those tricks to get like big animated characters on screen because the PS1 just wouldn't be able to hold that much graphics without those tricks. This cutscene. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's important to remember how little memory the PlayStation 1 had, so putting all that effort into optimizing things it's kind of crazy when you think about it in the current context of like what we know now, but you had to be very inventive back in those days. Also, to answer No Joto's question, this should answer this if you're watching this right now, where the text that's in the bottom of the screen that's in English, that was I believe that was you, Hilltop?
Yeah, editing FMVs in PS1 games is actually pretty easy. There are tools for it. The times when it's not easy are, like in the case of Aconcagua, when everything just kind of went off the rails technology-wise because the developers, instead of using the standard FMV format, they just wrote their own for no discernible reason. So editing FMVs, not too difficult. I'm going to pause right here and talk a little bit about this text box that's appearing on the screen right now. So what's happening in the background is there's an FMV that's playing, and on top of that FMV there's a text box. These text boxes are really, really weird. I remember, Sid, you might have seen this at some point. If there's too much text in one of these text boxes, the entire screen goes corrupt and like letters start like flying out all over the place.
Yes, that was something we encountered with a number of the playtesting sessions that either I did under your supervision or on my own, where, yeah, it would absolutely go completely bonkers. And we had to very, very carefully pick our words and other choice things. And, oh, hello there.
Howdy.
Hey,
How
hey,
you
Carb.
Heyo. Congratulations on the stream.
Oh yeah,
Thank
it's going
Thank you
pretty
very
well.
Hey, Cargadin.
Hello.
Yeah, for anyone who isn't familiar with Kargan, she's working on Blue right now and also translated Maiden Machine Gun, which we released like just a week ago.
Oh, yeah. Made in the machine gun. That's something I have to tell my father about, who is currently sitting right next to me with a thing of potato chips and some wine.
Retsina.
Retsina. So
Any better way to watch Racing Lagoon than wine? So
I've got beer and donuts, so there's worse ways you could spend your evening, I'm sure.
I mean,
It
the
is a
way I
delicacy.
Yeah.
When you're on, huh?
Yep.
They're late. In the faces. Oh, look.
The literal action figures just drawn over by somebody in Square.
I love the way that these characters look. They're
It's so ridiculous, but I love it.
it's very distinctly square soft, if I'm being if I
Yeah.
can describe it.
these are like bouncer characters that like somehow fell out of one game and end up here.
These are the rejects from Final Fantasy VIII, I imagine. And they just very quickly thought it's like, oh no, we have to do something with them. Well, how do the kids dress? Perfect. That'll do.
So
That's basically just like pouring a box of action figures out there and just we gotta do something. Quick, we'll
Yes.
put them in this racing game.
I
Perfect.
wonder, well, I don't think they did, but it's kind of a shame that there aren't Racing Lagoon action figures somewhere out there. Or some kind of figurine from the game.
Oh man.
Because it would fit, right?
yeah.
Anyways.
it's a shame they didn't make diecast cars. So copyright kind of bee's
What did-
nest anyway.
What did you say? You were kind of cutting out.
Oops, sorry. I'm surprised they never made diecast cars. But then I think that just because a lot of them are based on real cars just enough, it would probably be a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, this game is like 12
Yeah.
lawsuits waiting to happen.
The thing of it was that Genki basically got slammed with an ultimatum at the release of Tokyo Extreme Racer Zero about a year or two after this game came out. So yeah, they wouldn't have lasted long, and it just
Look up their asses, dude.
they came real close.
I'll see if I can put a little bit of background to this. In the vast majority of racing games nowadays, especially from large studios, the vehicles are licensed. It didn't used to be this way, and games were a lot more experimental. But Tokyo Extreme Racer, as Sid said, also did what Racing Lagoon does, which is just it has the real cars, but it refers to them by fake names or code names and stuff like that. They are those cars. The names are just shuffled and the badges removed. But car companies kind of caught on and started threatening. So the reason I bring this up is also because I know that there's a lot of people who kind of wish this game would be re-released. There would be about 25 different car manufacturers and part manufacturers breaking down Square Enix's door if they tried to do that. It's a complete logistical nightmare. It's impossible.
Toyota alone would have a conniption in this day and age, to say nothing of the freak out Honda had in the later part of the early 2000s. It just, you can't make something like this anymore. No way.
No, I agree
Not-
with that. I do think it would be very funny though if instead it was just the opposite. Because do you remember the tie-in for Final Fantasy 15 where they remade the regalia in real life, and that was a really big promotional everything?
I don't remember them
Yes.
remaking it in real life. I remember them shoving the car into Forza Horizon 3 and 4, and I mained the hell out of that car. It was so much fun.
It's a good car. It's a good car.
That's a conversation for another day, but I can go crazy over that one because the amount of detail in that is obscene. Anyway,
I don't know which company remade the car, but there is one. It was an exhibitional copy of the car. It wasn't for sale or anything like that. If it that'd be really funny. But
Well,
no, I
okay.
think it was a display piece, and it was for this collaboration and promotion.
I could have.
So-
They did an Audi R8. It wasn't the Regalia. It was a car from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, this is I think this is better saved as a conversation for another time because we are really derailing this.
All right. Yeah, I think the car situation kind of puts a damper on this game's legacy.
Oh, just to recontextualize this, you've said this before yourself, but that promotion that they did with another Square
Oh
game,
yeah,
mobile game?
we can talk about this. So Racing Lagoon was recognized exactly one time after release, and it was in a tie-in promotion with another Square Enix mobile game, a Yankee motorcycle something. I forget the actual name. But of course, I mean, what people want out of Racing Lagoon is the characters, but it's also the cars. So what they did, but without having, but of course they don't have the license for the cars anymore. So whenever the character is on screen and is supposed to be next to their car, or the Racing Lagoon character would just be standing there, and next to them, where their car should be, are just a pair of like disembodied headlights, just like floating in the void because they can't actually show their cars. So yeah, I kind of doubt at this point we'll ever see, but maybe some sort of like spiritual sequel could happen at some point. You know, we can have hopes for that, I guess.
I would absolutely love
dream.
that. Yeah,
We know
exactly.
who wrote it.
So I want to talk a little bit about what we're seeing on screen right now. This text box from Akira was actually giving us a lot of trouble, and I'll show you why. If I can just do this. So what we're seeing right now, well, let me make sure it looks okay on, yeah. So what we're seeing right now is the VRAM view of the PlayStation 1. What we're seeing is the video memory or the graphical memory of the game. So on the left, we have the frame buffers, which are showing what we're seeing on screen, of course. But to the right of the screen, you can see that there's a whole bunch of graphics for the characters. What was happening originally with our text was this text box was going off screen to the right from where it is. And because it was doing that, it was actually corrupting all of the graphics that was in VRAM. So if this text box became too wide, it would corrupt the game graphics. These are the kinds of weird issues that you run into when you're translating a game or hoping to translate a game. Because for a while we couldn't figure out what exactly was going on, and then we realized what it was. It was this text box extending past the frame buffer and into VRAM and corrupting the game. Did these issues affect the quality of the translation at all? I don't think so, no. There are cases when we had to like adjust lines here and there, but I don't think we ever really lost much meaning or intent of the writing.
If anything, because I remember there was a character limit per text box, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And if anything, having that limitation probably just helped tighten up the lines and make the writing better. If anything, like you said, all the meaning and stuff was still able to be carried across, but having that character limit, I think, helped focus things.
Limitation naturally helps, I guess, encourage creativity and bring a little bit of talent to the forefront. It's not if you're looking at it from a different perspective, it's not a limitation, it's a challenge. And it's very much a case of rising to that challenge and trying to create something great out of it. So, in a sense, it was more an opportunity.
Yeah, because basically all translators back in the day, had to work within the limitations as well. It's really not until probably modern day localization that developers would be accommodating enough for all the different languages in order to make those changes for every single language and all the needs of every single language. So I think the process that we go through on these projects are basically par for the course for games of the era.
From another perspective, that means it's pretty faithful to the era. So,
Yeah. I know we fussed over a lot of word choice going through bits and pieces of the game. I remember a number of the long nights we spent discussing scripts and everything else.
Those are really fun.
Oh, yes.
Going line by line through the script and seeing what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
I remember I wasn't able to be around for most of those, but I remember seeing the scripts and like looking over them closely, and they were usually like really good, just small edits and stuff here and there. Oh, That reminds me of another story that I'm gonna like. I don't think we'll get that far to it tonight. I think it's the beginning of night 2, when everyone's just kind of like having a roundtable session to create a name
Oh
for
yeah.
an insult for the two
Oh, God.
brothers.
Oh,
I
yeah.
literally I reached out to my server and was like, "What do we call these guys? What kind of thing?" And like, I had a wall of text the next morning of various insults that you could call these guys. The KPK right here, or James from Team Rocket, as we've all calling him in my place.
Finito muchacho.
Yes, it's just
Yeah. So about this
It-
line, we actually got a lot of comments about what this line was going to be. This is kind of like when it first really hits you with the type of unique writing style that the game has. I believe he says in the original Japanese, like, "You are the end," and the end is spelled out in English. So,
yes, I remember this.
So what I came up with was "You're finito, muchacho," which I think kind of fits the style of the text that they were going for. And it kind of like involves a different language, and it's kind of like an insult, and it's I think it fits what we came up with. What I
Yeah.
came up with actually, because so we're in the prologue right now, and I wrote the prologue before there ever was a team on this. When I first announced this project, pretty soon after I had released like a prologue kind of proof of concept to show people like, yeah, this is real, this is actually going to happen, and that got attention from the people who are in this call who volunteered to join the project, and the rest is history.
It's funny to think that the prologue of this was this rallying cry to just bring everyone in and just prove that not only is it possible, but it's actually going to happen. And that in itself was major motivation for Sid and myself. In fact, when I found out about this, my immediate reaction was to tell Sid, who's been playing the game for over a decade, even prior to the project starting, and trying to encourage and push him into joining this, because I knew how much this would mean to him. I kind of just came along for the ride as well, but it was
I don't want
rallying
to.
cry was crazy.
I don't want to exactly correct you on that one, but I saw that, and my immediate gut reaction was I need to be in on this, just because out of everybody, God, I know I've been playing it now 12 years, just about straight. But
I'd say like 13 now. That was 12, roughly 12 when this started.
no. I mean years, as in when I originally found the game was like 2010-ish.
Yeah, okay, my bad.
And I've been playing basically nonstop ever since. And just, I've played this game, I know this game, and I can run through it in my sleep without a guide open, without any number of other things. Just give me the controller and let me do my magic, and I will show you what it means to play this game like an absolute crackhead.
Which
About a year before Hilltop tweeted out the proof of concept here, the prologue, I had tried dabbling in some ROM hacking, and I tried to see if I could figure out how to manipulate the text in the game. I didn't make much progress, but I ended up studying or learning a lot about the PlayStation One and kind of how it works. I didn't quite understand it, so like a year later, when Hilltop posted or tweeted his video, like his trailer, and released the prologue, it was so exciting. Like I mean, for all of us, right? Like seeing that, like it was in English, moving on a screen. It was just like so crazy. It was so exciting. So yeah, I think it was enough to spur all of us to just reach out and offer whatever we could.
the fact that it wasn't just in English, but it was something that I think is important to mention is that this wasn't just some YouTube video. This was a playable test that anyone could download, try it, and see
Yes.
for themselves. And that is what I think is very important there, because having it in your hands makes you really believe.
Yeah.
Which we all did.
Yeah,
Very.
I know I had briefly attempted to dive into the files head first and try and figure something out, but I lack the knowledge as well as the time and drive to learn how to break into most of the files and make changes to the scale that Hilltop has. It's just, my specialty is with a socket wrench, not programming or doing things with this or that. Just, full honesty.
Gonna be
Yeah.
honest, you're actually surprisingly good behind the wheel, man.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, I've played this game.
Yeah.
Once you get used to the circle button, the drifting button,
Yeah, just
yeah.
rip the
You-
handbrake and pretend like it's you're driving my 98 Honda Civic in a snow-covered parking lot with 2 lunch trays under the back wheels.
Yeah, just kind of slides around it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of the meta of getting around.
Yeah,
There is something that I want to mention because I suppose there's a couple things that I want to mention.
Hold on, wait.
Just-
Sorry, just there's someone in chat who has been posting a couple of questions. I wanna answer them real quick. As soon as I finish this phrase, it should be.
I can take the
into-
one from Punished Weasel because I can actually comment on this. Also, hello, whoever joined. So, Punished, if you are in Hilltop's Discord and you scroll up a little ways, a friend of mine who I put up to the task of gathering up all the codes and doing everything, he might have done it out of his own free will. If he has, God bless the man. Johnny put together a bunch of codes which will enable you to basically swap whatever engine, chassis, or body that is in the game, minus one specific one that I won't talk about here because spoilers, as well as you can put all manner of different parts in the varying sockets just freely. So these codes do exist.
Yeah, if you
well.
join the mods and cheats channel, someone has posted a very very nice set of cheat codes for DuckStation.
Johnny is the real MVP on that one.
I had posted a guide on how to change parts, but someone went and actually compiled everything finally.
Yeah, so Johnny and I had been arguing over how best to put everything, and eventually he's like, "Yeah, do you wager it'd be worth it to do this?" And I'm like, "Dude, do it." So I think I owe him a beer now because I haven't actually talked to him in like 2 weeks.
So Fight Magic Item Run asks, which card did the translators use the most? So when we were at the early stages of the patch, Sid actually went through and created a whole bunch of save files at various different chapters of the game with like pre-built cars. So when we were debugging and testing the game, we basically just picked cars that he had handcrafted for us, and they all worked pretty well.
The big thing that my mantra is I never want to play this game the same way twice. And I wanted to make sure that anytime anybody loaded in and was using something, it would be viable, but it would also be different than whatever they had the night before. I have genuinely played this game enough times that I have gone through the whole thing, start to finish, with the single cam D15 Civic engine that you can get on night 1. And I've taken out the Darkness Grand Prix with it. If that tells you anything about my level of get out of my way, I know what I'm doing.
I mean,
And-
it's a very good reminder that you're absolutely insane, and the project came out all the better for it.
You kind of have to be missing a few brain cells in order to think that undertaking something like this is the ideal move. Yep. There you go. See? Yep. He knows. Yep. Sanity is not the name of the game in this game. You are actively encouraged to change things out and just create this unholy Frankenstein's monster of a car. And the beauty of it is that everybody's definition of it is different, so you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, and it usually involves some sort of like it usually involves a few things: a giant rotary engine, a bus body on something incredibly light, 13 plundered plus horsepower or some ridiculous number, or a stretch limousine in Evangelion colors and a Bosa Saku wide body kit.
Yeah.
But
So it's-
I do want to say something because I feel we missed an opportunity to discuss this. The replay dialogue moments and stuff like that. Because I remember Hilltop and crew having quite a bit of problems with this pretty early on, actually. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally. So what you saw in during the replay there is that last text box hung around for a really long time. And that's not normally supposed to happen. But I couldn't find a great way to fix it, so I just left it in. There are other
understandable.
there are other parts of the game, like during one very spoilery cutscene against a certain blue car, where the cars are supposed to be parked at one point, but they're kind of parked at a weird angle in the English patch, because the length of the cutscene is determined by the text boxes, and their final resting position is also changed depending on the length of the text boxes. So it looks a little bit funny, but they're mostly problems that you can kind of overlook. You might not even notice that they were issues.
There's one glaring one that I can think of immediately, and it's at Spencer's test course the very first night you show up to
That's
it.
the one I was thinking of, yeah.
There's that one as well.
There's a couple of cutscenes with Icky as well, but those are neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yep. The bootleg John Greenwood Corvette is most certainly a very welcome addition by the time you get to Night 9. Yes, it's like literally I will have to boot up the game and show you because I have it here. I don't have my single cam slammer run on this computer. But just there is no limit to the insanity. There is no limit to your creativity other than whatever the game gives you. It's fantastic.
I remember when you first started trying to figure out what that game was all about. You like spent like weeks
I spent the entirety of that summer playing it.
playing it over and over and over again. It was like
I didn't beat it. Like I started playing in like June of that year. No, it was right around final exam time. I started playing
you
it.
started playing. It was like
It wasn't until we went to camp in August that I beat it successfully. No, it was after camp that I managed to actually beat the freaking game.
Don't you still have a physical copy of the game?
Still have it, dude. I dug it out. Explicitly. I came back to New England just so that way I could get my physical copy as well as the PlayStation I used to play it on. And
That's
when I get
dedication.
back, this was a number of years ago I bought it, but
yeah, it was a fun piece of kit. I mean, you spent literally weeks. Like, what the hell are they doing here?
Yeah.
What does this mean? We don't know.
yep.
So we sit around and we like, I think they mean this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not what it was.
That's
Yep.
not what it was.
It's like, especially this cutscene that we're coming up on. Like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
Oh god, yeah.
Here
yeah,
it comes.
I know. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
All right, let me get on
These
standby.
assholes. These assholes.
The Jagoffs. I'm so happy I went with Jagoffs here. Everyone kind of like,
Oh, that was you who did that?
yeah. Everyone
Yes, that
kind of
was
just
him.
pauses and looks at the text here, which is totally like a Racing Lagoon thing. I want text that makes people pause and like rethink what they're looking at.
That reminds me, like there was like
There it is.
dialogue. Yep.
We've got a wise guy here.
No, that reminds me of some early conversations and stuff like that. How the dialogue was handled for shows, internal monologues, which we just kind of sat through, for example, where that was, I believe, that was, written in a different style for a while, or what was
Yeah,
the
it was with the periods. I was originally like thinking that those should be written in verse, basically, like poetry, because they were so waffly and poetic. But enough people kind of complained about it that I eventually caved and gave it all periods.
That's fair. Arx has a question for you.
Ace Combat 3, I'm not familiar with that, actually.
I am familiar with this translation project. This was something a friend of mine showed me. It did not, however, just knowing what the difference was between the North American and the Japanese version of the game was, and being able to play said Japanese version in English was insane.
Yeah, for a little bit of background context, North American and Japanese releases of Ace Combat 3 were dramatically different. In fact, it's easy to say that the North American version was incredibly dumbed down, simplified the story in many ways, and removed a lot of elements of choice from that, if not, I think, all the elements of choice in that game?
Yeah,
I can't-
all of them.
I think so. I think they cut it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
But actually, I suppose now I'm curious, what led you to work on Racing Lagoon in particular, then, Hilltop? I remember seeing your previous project was Dr. Slump, but
Yeah,
how did you get your start with this?
Yeah,
And
which
what
is-
motivated you to start with Racing Lagoon?
It's actually really good.
yeah. So if you look at the games that I've done, well, hold on, let's just watch this scene play out because iconic.
Oh, yeah. The music, the language, the scenery.
Yeah, it's, man, just seeing the cityscape for the first time. Man, what a cool video game, especially on PS1.
God, I remember first listening to the soundtrack of This Night and falling immediately in love. And like 2-3 years later, when I got my first, well, technically third car, I was driving around the local cities at night, literally listening to burned versions of the soundtrack to this game because they work so beautifully. And to go back to a question somebody else had, what are some of our favorite tracks? This one and the one from Hakone. Is it Hakone?
Hakone.
Hakone.
Yeah,
Thank
Hakone.
you. Yeah. Those two are some of my all-time favorites.
All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this out there because I don't know all the tracks by name, but one of the ones that I really like is probably the only one I remember explicitly by name, and that was Starfall Night. That one is just
Oh,
That one's great
that's
too.
a good track.
Starfall Night. I have the whole soundtrack.
I was really like-
We'll listen to it tomorrow.
Night 4. That's Starfall Night, I believe.
Yeah, that is Starfall Night.
I think my favorite one was Victory Road. I don't know why, but I just really like the Victory Road music.
Oh, and while we're talking about straight bangers, the Yokohama Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yes.
That one goes off. That one goes wild.
That is one of those, this has no right going as hard as it does, but I'm glad it does.
Did they ever release Did they ever release a standalone
Yes.
soundtrack for this? Yeah,
Yes,
Square-
they
'cause
did.
Yeah, it's like $1
Square
million.
did that a lot back in. Yeah, Square released. Square did that quite a bit in those days, didn't they?
But you
Mhm.
to be fair, you can get
Street
soundtracks
driving for
most games.
dunces. I did. Hold the phone. I did not know this line
Yeah.
was written. There's a trademark.
Street driving for dunces. This
Yeah.
is literally the tutorial, and it's street driving for dunces. He underlined this page a lot. Scribbles all over the margins.
I did. I did not know that was written.
Yeah, so that trademark
better
symbol, we added ourselves to the font.
Oh yeah, we were always like so excited about, could we use or finding places to use the trademark sign, because I think there's a couple times we used it that wasn't in
Wasn't
the
it?
original.
Wasn't it used in the
Japanese.
Spencer's course as well?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
we'll get there.
Yes, it was.
Like it
We-
was. It wasn't necessary part of the writing, I suppose. But the thing is that the individual elements that were used added to the sense of humor and the vibe of the game. So it was perfect. I honestly stand by that one, which reminds me, I do kind of think it might be a bit of a risk to do this because of the sheer amount of text that was there. But a lot of the writing at Spencer's that teaches you how to build the cars, that was another trip.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
Yeah.
they go on and on about like how every single stat relates to Final Fantasy and Saga Frontier, because I guess that's what they expected their audience to be familiar with.
Yeah, and all the moments of like, I believe it was Kenzo breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Who's your favorite character from Final Fantasy VIII? Mine's Bahamut.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Oh, my God. So when we get to the actual Spencer's test course, I need to haul my father in front of the screen just so he can read the absurdity of the names of some of the.
Oh, so we have the actual names now.
Yes, we have the actual names of all the corners of Spencer's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's just as ridiculous as you think.
Pretty ridiculous back in the day.
No.
People are trying to figure out what is that shit.
Yeah, and it's like, what the hell is going on now? And it's like, we have Spencer's S. The S stands
The
for
S is for
Spencer.
Spencer.
Yeah. That wasn't in the original.
And the fact that he explicitly goes out of his way to say it's like, you need to call the first straight Spencer straight.
Hold on, you said that was in the original Hilltop?
Most of that was in the original, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. That was a really fun part to translate.
I think we need to go over there just so we can show this.
Hey, I'm not gonna say no.
Oh God.
So I see a question from Zero, and I'm a little sketchy about talking about this because spoilers, but I think most of the people in here might have played through the game already. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there to for all of you. To each of you that have played this, do you each have a favorite set piece or race or something like that from the game?
Yes. Mine is the secret boss, but I guess we can't talk too much about it because it's the secret boss.
Sorry, chat.
Understood. You have to actually play the game in order to get that secret boss, so get to it.
I feel bad not having been able to replay the game or whatever it is because my time has been limited, but it's loaded on my Steam Deck just because I want to just really sit down and play through it. My save is still on night 4, but I'm trying to think of a couple of ones because there were some really good ones in terms of set pieces that I'm just trying to like recall.
Right. If you're gonna be a minute on that, I can break out my top 3 right now. So the initial, like, any of the
Machine gun
leading
torque.
up.
Yes.
Oh God.
Machine Gun Torque was in the original, by the way. That's not. I didn't edit that at all.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Is like all of this is faithful.
So he
Even, like,
claims.
the all caps words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spencer.
But no, the 3 favorites for me were the first and foremost is the initial sights of Nanba after he vanishes and comes back.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
know full well no. Oh no. Oh no. And
What?
the cutscenes afterwards describing what his card looked like as they fished it out of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's just that was hair raising the first time I played it. It was like I was expecting it, I was waiting for it, I was not ready for it.
Making me want to boot up my copy of the game now. Jeez.
Yeah. I think the next one was the actual race down the mountain as you're being chased by Schneider and Co.
Oh, the I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember the name. The Snow Mountain area. I'm trying to remember
Yes.
what that was. Was that Hokkaido or
Forget
something?
Hill. Yes, it was Forget Hill.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was probably, I guess, the most notable one for me too, because I think that's one of the only place in the game, well, one of the few places in the game where you can actually, I guess, quote unquote, die in the race. You can,
Yeah.
like, straight up.
Yeah, I haven't forgotten about that.
Yes, I remember a certain somebody going, yeah, yeet, at the very end of a race after he crossed the finish line, and
Dude,
wondering why he got the game over screen.
I
I
watched
crossed the finish line. It said I was done. You don't expect to die at completion, okay?
You clearly have not played nearly enough Sierra games of the 90s.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, this is a prime example of you will screw yourself and not even realize till it's too late.
You see, Fight Magic Item Run totally sees my point here. Thank you. Mario Kart rules. Get it right.
Crash Team Racing's better.
Oh.
Ooh.
Sid Joseph,
Ooh.
Hey, I have no horse in this race. I'm not a kart racer person, but I mean, if you want to choose violence, then go ahead and choose violence.
I'm choosing violence because I'm 3 beers deep in my father's presence. So yes, we're choosing violence.
Some say coolness is the most important stat on your
Leave you
car.
out
Hell
of
yeah,
this.
it is.
No, you brought me into this
Hell
world. I can
yeah, it
drag
is.
you into whatever the fuck I want. Pardon my language.
That's true.
Kenzo's such a charming character. He's like so like pure and like doofy. I don't know. He's
Yeah.
He,
Hold on, hold
The
on.
safety
hold on.
disclaimer. The safety
Drive
disclaimer.
safely,
That
no
was
line.
so good.
Yes, safety disclaimer. OG Crash Team Racing because I'm a purist. However, I have both. I've played both, and quite frankly, the new one plays about the same as, you know.
Kenzo or
The old
Itsuki? Are you talking about Itsuki from the initial D?
To be brutally honest, Kenzo because he's actually funnier.
Thank you. Yeah, and he's also look. He's funnier. He's charming. He actually has a little bit of an arc. You can actually sympathize with him.
And
also-
also on the topic, but
Yeah.
sorry, I was just gonna say the 8 character, like the Roman numeral 8, was that in there from the start? I can't remember.
it was actually. It was the incorrect height, so I just had to edit the height of the character. But it was there.
Oh, okay.
All of the Roman numerals are in there for some reason. You can even add them to your name.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
They had that. Hold on. Was it used in the original? I mean, I doubt it. Was it used in the original script, like when they were describing Final Fantasy VIII, or do they have like a character for that?
I can look that up. Actually, give me 1 second.
Because
I know it's Final Fantasy VIII. I just forget how they wrote it.
Yeah. And also just to throw this back to the whole Kenzo or Itsuki thing. I'm sorry. Kenzo has the parts, and it was what was the description of one of those? Weight reduction is a pain in the ass.
Yes.
DIY is a pain in the ass.
DIY is a pain in
is
the
a pain
ass.
in the ass. Yes. Okay, just to be brutally honest, like with Itsuki, everybody makes fun of him, but with Kenzo, like at the very end, like near the end of the game, Keisuke comes out and he's like, yeah, no, actually, I feel for this guy because we both really don't have much of a pot to piss in. He brought this car in for scrap and we raced for it, but then we basically admitted we both suck, so we just Rochambeau'd for it and he won.
No, yeah, that's the thing, where he's actually a charming and endearing character compared to Itsuki. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to mention, I don't want to say too much, but the kind of things that happen later in the game to Kenzo, you actually really feel for him.
Yes, and I mean, you know, I joke that you have to be a special kind of stupid in order to somehow transversely put a 2JZ into your Civic. Not even a turbo one. Like, that takes doing. Itsuki had to, you know, pay somebody else to put a turbo on his car. Kenzo somehow manages to stick an entire Toyota engine into his car.
Why do you
I
think?
don't know how.
Why do you think he thinks DIY is a pain in the ass? Clearly, he's done it before.
Okay. Well, no. If he did it before, he would have just had somebody else do it. God.
He's broke. He drives a Civic. He can't do that.
I'm broke. I drive a Civic. It doesn't stop me from having another one and putting in a better engine. That's, you know, not made by Toyota.
All right, you got me.
That's.
Oh, it hurts. It burns. It burns.
Hold on.
We
how did
can laugh.
everyone-
We have had shitty Toyotas. You did clutch dumps and burnouts in mine for what, 2 years, and then it rusted out?
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Hold on. Fight Magic Item Run asks, how did everyone on the team celebrate when the translation was complete?
Drinking heavily.
That's not celebration. That's once a week.
I was gonna say.
I can hear your dad laughing. That's how I know I got that right.
All right, okay. Turnabout's fair play. Thanks, Dad.
Oh, teasers.
I don't know how many of you heard that, but my father chimed in with the comment of "It's more often than that."
Okay, okay. I do want to go ahead and point this out because this is like a small little cutscene that you can really, really miss, but it is important to the game. And just like,
Dangerous men ahead.
look, I will never see a blacked out town car with gold trim the same way again. Looks like the set of some third-rate detective movie. But okay, yeah. As far as how did everyone on the team celebrate? Yeah, they
Yeah.
look nice, but like that's not the last thing I want to see before I die. But hey, Umbra, Hilltop, it's for you.
Hey, yeah, Umbra worked on the patch actually. It was one of the programmers who helped early on.
All right, so I still want to like answer the whole fight magic item run thing, but
Yeah. So
we got to take a look at this cutscene.
Yeah, I guess we'll watch this cutscene and get back to some questions.
Also, I think it's also a good point to talk about the loading screens because those took quite a bit of work too, in terms of like writing the dialogue and cleaning up the images.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of those loading screens in this game, and we had to do them justice because they're really beautiful in how they're put together.
Oh. Here we go. Toon shop.
For the heck of it.
Good job, Spencer.
Yep. Put it together for the heck of it.
You know what? I'm just gonna have some fun with this.
I'm
yes,
just gonna
that's-
let.
There's the TM.
Yeah, Sid, can you narrate? You got the voice for the. Oh,
Yeah,
right, it's gonna be delayed.
Car and driver have a quick chat about cornering at the first turn. The third turn is the garage hairpin trademark. It demands hard braking. A better set of brake pads might give you a split-second edge over a rival. Next up is the Spencer S trademark. The S trademark stands for Spencer. The S trademark puts your tires and suspension to the ultimate test. If your chassis needs work, you'll learn it the hard way. The final turn trademark offers a brief respite with its gentle downhill curve. Maintain a steady RPM and then blast off into the straightaway. Then you're right back home in Spencer's Straight trademark. There's no room to think on the straightaway. It's pedal to the metal. Blow past the finish line and walk away with a fresh new record. Trademark.
Look, I know that area. I know that cutscene is technically broken because the text stretched longer than the actual replay.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that just looks at that and thinks, "This is an '80s montage freeze frame."
Yes.
Thanks
But
for
yeah.
I'm dying over here because.
By the way, way to channel your inner narrator. I'm trying to remember the name of the Jim Conrad. Jim Conrad. Who
Yeah,
does,
oh,
who did
no.
the voice?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
What?
I thought you said Jim
Yeah.
Karna, which is a typo that it was in the original Japanese when they were trying to write Jim Kana.
Wait, really?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
you don't remember Jim Karna? It actually spelled like JimCarna.
Okay, that's a new Discord username for somewhere else. I'm hanging on to that. But no, I was referring to Sid sounding like the narration from like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. But
Man. Yes. I have listened to that man so many freaking times.
yeah, his name is Jim Conrad. I kind of like want to see if I can like do like a like pay for like a little cameo or something. See if I can bring some of that talent back. But
God, I hope he's on Fiverr.
right.
So what you driving? Nothing special. I knew you'd say that. An 86 is so like you. Anyway, an 86 might not have all the bells and whistles, but there's something special at its core. Make sure you take the good care of that car, okay?
Yeah, so Bat Lab brings up a good point. You could play this game like so many ways. When we were first like releasing chapters of the game, it was really surprising how many people were keeping up and playing the game through each chapter because of that like open world and that open environment that it has to play in, which is like was revolutionary then and is like still revolutionary now, I think.
It's still pretty
Like,
unique, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So like, yeah, passing around save files and stuff, it would be really fun to do in this game. Glad you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like something that we saw was a bit of a common occurrence in the Discord community, where people not only sharing save files but giving each other hints and tips where to find parts and stuff like that, resources, and
Challenges.
showing off their individual builds and stuff like that too. Like people were creating unique vehicles that were
Yeah.
unique to them, and
I
it
literally
was
handed off all
beautiful.
the resources that I had for various cheat codes and guides and things for
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
It was beautiful seeing a game that could effectively be played almost however you want, so long as you follow a couple of fundamental rules of how to put something together. And it was there were so many different approaches and ways to it that it's not necessarily always something that you really see in video games in general anymore. There's a genuine sense of freedom to it. And it was
Yeah.
beautiful seeing that in
Yeah.
action.
Very much non-linear. Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Yes.
Here's the old one.
But
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about this line that's on screen right now. Writing Show is so fun because there's two of them. There's Show when he's monologuing in his head. There's Show when he's talking to boys, and then there's Show when he's talking to girls. So there's really three shows. And how they interplay between each other and how they're different. It's so funny to see because, like, you know, he's just lying right now. He lies so much when he's talking to Yuka that it's just funny. He really is just like a dumb 18-year-old. If you ever replay the game, take note of how he talks to different characters.
Yeah,
I've been
it's
keeping tabs on that.
it's bizarre to see his interactions with others, like especially when you go off to Queens in the second night.
Yeah, he's
Oh my
he
god!
tries to act so cool, and then
It's like-
he kind of has like a little breakdown there, but he catches himself. It's not until like later in the game that he like really
What
fully breaks apart.
What Arya mentions, didn't that happen like right in the prologue or something
Yeah,
along those lines?
He has multiple points where he does that. I hate to say that. Like, I'm not gonna just say when. It's just like, yeah, he does that. That is literally in line with his character. Like, even on like the second night, he will do that. They just pull out a whatever. Who cares?
I have
So
to
he-
admit, because I was gonna bring this point up earlier too, but that one line in the beginning of night one where he's messing with the phone and he has no idea how to use
Yeah.
it, and that's just written into the dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, like many sitcoms that happened before cell phones, a lot of the issues can be solved by use of cell phones. How they fix that in this game is they made him really dumb, so he doesn't know how to use a cell phone.
See, he literally winds up just chucking the thing in the bay about
Yeah.
3/4 of the way through, and it's like, oh. God. I have yet to actually find a place like Johnny's, but as soon as I find one, believe me, I will know. About the closest thing I've found is Joe's.
I mean, isn't that just basically a slightly run down Denny's with a straight pipe Civic in the parking lot?
Okay,
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
that's literally every Denny's I've ever been to because, well, who else is going to be driving the straight pipe Civic? And two, no, we have a Joe's in Utah that literally has the sign up that says "Eat at Joe's." And my metric for any of my project cars being successful is can I go and drive there, eat a meal, and then drive back to the house?
I was always pretty sure that Johnny's was supposed to be like a knockoff of Jonathan's, like the family
Yeah,
restaurant chain.
yeah. There's a real like restaurant that Johnny's is based off of.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Only in Japan, I think.
Ah, that would make sense.
Yeah, the whole concept of Johnny's and the restaurant establishments. I know this is something that you see in Initial D because it's parking lot underneath the main building and all that. But we don't really have anything like that over here in America.
Sadly.
Well, that's why I'm plotting a trek over there at some point and doing, hitting up spots like that and seeing it's like, oh, are they going to have something like this or like that?
Let me know
but-
when that happens so I can hitchhike with you.
Well, I mean, I'll have to stuff you in my suitcase, but hopefully sometime in the next 6 months it'll enter the planning stage because then I'll actually have the resources to be able to, put towards that.
I'll try to teach myself how to fold in half and fit in one, I guess.
Yoga.
But
Oh,
yeah,
Jesus Christ! How many people am I going to be smuggling into Japan? Oh my God!
Are we doing a meetup? Is that
I'm
what's
gonna
going
have
on here?
Yeah, apparently I'm just gonna smuggle all of my friends into Japan, and then we're gonna buy a Honda Civic and then road trip across it with a straight piped exhaust at 3 a.m.
look, Pancake has the right idea. Pancake has the right idea. What we're gonna do for the second anniversary of this is we're all gonna be smuggled in Japan and actually do the stream in Yokohama.
Oh God!
Well, that'd be cool. I mean, yeah, Mason. We still need to hook up. Haven't.
Yeah, actually, we were gonna do that a while ago and never got around to
That
it.
was like in February. I was like, oh yeah, let me get back to you. But no,
You can just go to Japan now. No need for human trafficking. You know, look. I'll be brutally honest. I have received a number of very interesting job offers that I've regrettably had to turn down because of the work that I did on this.
Really?
Just,
Really?
Okay,
Can you
so
clarify what you mean
somebody.
by that?
A friend of mine has an aero company in Australia, and he primarily deals with a lot of the big name clients and, distributors of kits over in Japan that a lot of people here will probably know. Like, I don't know, RWB, Rocket Bunny, Pandem, that
Jesus
kind
Christ!
those kinds of people. And he took one look at Racing Lagoon and went, "Hey, hold up, you worked on this. You want to come help me translate ledgers and go off to meetings and shit?" And I went, "Dude, if I knew Japanese any better, you have no idea. I would be on a plane to Australia right now."
Oh. Oh, that's kind of sick, honestly.
And the answer is I'm going to take him up on that one day, because that's kind of, I don't want to say dream jobby, but I want to go over there, and I would love to, see all of the little weird tuning shops that I've grown up seeing and this and that. So it's it's basically fight magic. Yeah, that's kind of what's going on. Is
You gotta
but
learn some Japanese, yeah.
I've been there's something that's had to take priority over that for the moment, but now that we're actually working on that, we're gonna get back to that. That's gonna be one of the big things for the new year.
I'm
Dude,
not very
rooting for you on that.
much of a, I guess, car enthusiast myself, but I saw Initial D and I fell in love with the 8.6 and everything. And one, I don't know if it was like a present or something. No, it wasn't. It was just something nice that she did. But nearby where I lived, about a couple hours away, there was a garage dedicated to just 8.6 tuning, and they sold 8.6s, and they just had 8.6s in the lot and in the garage.
Hold on.
and-
I gotta point this line out. Because this one's
Hold on,
kind of just
okay.
been in good. This is
The
just kind of like a
girlfriend.
mend in the Discord.
It's a meme in the same. It's a more natural meme than the pink mini.
Just
I feel like a waterbed is just like so of the time. It's
Yeah.
just so
Oh my god, you
Yeah.
have no idea.
Oh god, don't even talk about Mad Lane. They're doing some insane stuff. The owner of Mad Lane has this fantastically built all white Diablo. It's a dream car of mine. But and also I do want to bring it back to another question that Fight asked, which is how fluent is each member of the team? I'm not at all. But
All right.
fluent in Japanese, I'm assuming. So
Yes.
y'all want to chime in?
I'm really like a more of an intermediate level Japanese reader and speaker. Um, uh, whenever I had questions about language, I would usually throw it over to Pancake or one of the other translators that we had. I think Pancake's living in Japan is much more experienced in Japanese than I am.
Yeah, I've been I guess I've gone back and forth, but probably in total about 10 years now. Yeah, I guess I'd say, even though I've been here a long time, I'd say I'm probably like intermediate, maybe upper advanced. I'm not sure how I'd rank myself. But being fluent is nice, but that doesn't necessarily translate over into localizing a game in
Mhm.
Japanese. I think writing, it's definitely its own special discipline, and yeah, I mean, if anything, I feel like I learned a lot from Hilltop as far as like, looking at something written in Japanese and then like, getting deeper into like the meaning and the feel, the nuance behind
And making it interesting in English, right? I think
Yeah,
Hilltop, you
yeah.
were really fantastic at that aspect in particular.
Certainly.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing bits and pieces of that. Something that's not a lot of people understand when it comes to this sort of stuff is that translation and localization. I personally see these as two different terms because a direct translation loses so much meaning in what the delivery is or something, certain quirks of a language or cues and stuff like that that are specific to regions
Yeah,
or,
I mean,
or certain dialects and stuff like that. In order to really put the work into localizing that, it does sort of have to be rewritten, and it's not translated in it. It's not a translation so much as it is a reinterpretation, because you have to reinterpret it to get the point across while still maintaining that same vibe.
Well, I mean, that's why you kind of have to do like multiple passes on it, right? Like it's easy to do that
Yeah.
first pass and just get the straight meaning across, and then you really do have to go over everything again with like a fine tooth comb and be like, okay, does this actually convey the same nuances and stuff, right?
Mhm.
I
That was
remember
kind of one
we
of the
went.
fun things working on the game is just like that collaborative spirit is like, because we can go into this a little bit later, Hilltop, about like how the files are actually broken up for each scene, but basically, people would take a script, a scene would translate it, but then like there'd be this collaborative process where we'd make multiple passes over it and try and get to like the best version of it. That was probably a lot of the fun of working on this with everybody as a team.
That was super fun.
yeah. But before our like translation went live, people would just talk about this game in like hushed tones, and that how it was the untranslatable game because of how weird its use of English was and such. But
Yeah, I
I'm
remember explaining to my father, if I may jump in, that it was literally one of two demographics. Either it was the Japanese crowd who knew everything about it and was mocking it, what we learned later on, or there was like the weird dude who knew of it that like would only really talk to other people who knew about it.
So you
And I
mean
kind
you?
of, well, no, unlike most of the people who did know about this, I kind of made it my personal mission to introduce this game to as many people as humanly freaking possible and be like, look, this is how you go through, this is how you play it. This is a really good game. Just please, for the love of God, give it a go. Oh God, please, God, help me. Why have I chosen this?
There was something
But
else that. Forgive me. There was something else that came. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say. The whole collaborative thing. Just to throw it back on there. True story. Sometimes it was done in text, just like people rereading lines and reinterpreting that. But actually, something that I remember being particularly fun was every couple of nights or so. I believe it was after Hilltop had got out of work and settled down for the day, so relatively late night, there would actually be Discord calls where a bunch of the people would get together and just talk and just verbalize and just have this moment of cooperation. It wasn't something I was able to really be part of because of time constraints, but it was something that I saw, and I believe you were part of those, Sid?
yes, actually, I made it an effort to try and get to as many of these little sessions as I possibly could. And I remember I had made a couple of offhanded suggestions, like, maybe that line of code could work here and we could use that to add to the effect. Specifically, the number one example that comes to mind is the Chinatown where we just were. You have to actually push a button in order to get the next line where it's like, oh, it's got two things in common, and then it all fades out and it's like, boom, there it is.
Was this game licensed by Yokohama? I did not see those logos in the back. I didn't see those logos in the back before. Was there licensing in this?
wait. Hold on, let me read. Shit.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that
because
says
I wonder-
Yokohama.
Look at that, Sid!
Amazing.
I wonder
How
if
did
they
we
could
never
do,
notice
like,
that?
Because to be brutally honest with you, every time I go through this game or somebody else goes through this game and I'm watching, I always pick up on something else. It doesn't matter if it's been translated or not. There's always something. But, for something that small and that tiny, there's a reason that, it's gone like 11 years under my nose. I know a lot, but I don't know everything.
Which is kind of beautiful, honestly. It just goes to show how deep this game is and how much is buried under the surface. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on with this game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Which,
the one thing that I'm remembering right about now. I don't know why this came to mind, but what night was it that you unlocked Body Shop Muraoka?
Yeah, it's open
Should,
from the
should
very
be right
beginning.
now.
Oh yeah, the writing for that one in particular. So, the writing for that one in particular was kind of nuts because of the character that shows up there. But I distinctly remember early on in the localization where Hilltop had a bit of a realization in regards to language and the westernization of Japan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming up right now.
Muroka Auto Works.
Yeah, if you're looking for themes, this is the game for you. Because there's a lot of themes about, like, being reborn anew and undergoing change over time and looking at the past and the future and embracing, like, change and stuff. There's so much that you can read from this game and its story. And, you know, it's about staying true to yourself in the face of the world changing.
There's also an inexplicable Dodge Caravan that no, we're not going to comment on any further.
You would
Oh,
be
God.
surprised how many weird American vans you see in Japan. Like
Oh, no,
an
I'm
oddly
not.
high number.
We're not. The thing of it is that for even though my ability to speak Japanese is rather limited, I keep my finger on some of the pulses of certain YouTubers that go around. So I know that the Japanese have an interesting affliction with Dodge vans or Dajibans.
Yeah, there's a very notable love of American car culture in Japan. This has actually even
Yes.
birthed a couple of shops and stuff like that. Like, Moon Eyes was originally an American entity and it would later become a Japanese one, for another example.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they just love cars there of all types. It's truly fascinating.
Yeah.
Did not realize Moon Eyes was originally American. That's crazy.
It's
Yep.
it's wild the amount of things like, and the other thing is that a lot of USDM Honda stuff is super huge over in Japan.
Yeah, because just like it's very much the grass is greener on the other side effect. Just like how they like,
Yeah.
just how a lot of us like Japanese stuff. They will actually reverse import parts that were sent to North America or trim levels and stuff like that, and bring them back to Japan. Like you'll see certain Toyota sedans badged as Lexus, for example, if they were sold as Lexuses here. There was even
Or,
a small
outright
crowd of
importing the entire vehicle.
There's even a small crowd of people that would modify their cars to be as absolute base spec North American as they can, to the point where it looks like this bizarre time capsule of just being broke and living in the suburbs.
Which, hey, that describes my reality very well right now.
It's always really funny when I see cars over here with like Acura badges because they don't sell anything as an Acura over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny you see that over here, and then back home it's like people putting Honda badges on their RSXs or whatever because they want it to be JDM, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zero just nailed it very well. And also Punished Weasel. There's a Hot Wheels of a tuned Dodge van nowadays. Yes, and it's excellent, and it's right there on the shelf behind me.
Fantastic.
Oh god. Oh, I remember this scene. It's like the whole revenge
Another
race,
one.
and it's like I believe Show in his tough guy attitude has a tendency to really piss people off.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's very apparent here.
Prance
Like-
on back to Candyland is a pretty good line, by the way.
Also, ooh, Hoochie Mama. Yeah. Yeah, we did some good work, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We absolutely did.
It's really fun to read. Yeah.
Also, loading screen cutscenes because there are a lot of these.
Yeah, my number one goal with the text in this game, like, it was to write dialogue that people don't just mash through. That was the entire goal.
Yeah. It's like,
I'd like to believe you did a good job.
I don't need to like to believe. No, you did a good job.
I think that everyone did on the team.
Honestly,
Yes.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Ryo Asada. You are well and truly missed.
Asada was a legend. I have a soft spot for like collecting some of the 2022 Hot Wheels cars that say reused rides on them because they were the ones he designed. I even picked up the last car that he did design, which was a K truck known as Mighty K.
Yes, I have a selection of his vehicles adorning the corkboard behind my desk at work.
Yeah, but
Which, oh god, completely going way the hell back. Just to the question of earlier of how fluent are we all in Japanese, because I didn't quite get a chance to speak on that. I know enough that I'm able to actually go on Auction Yahoo Japan and I can look for and find very specific and intricate parts for engines, vehicles, more like all manner of different wheels, and get them. And I know exactly who I have to talk to and how to get them back here to the States. I can't speak it to save my life.
yeah,
But,
well, I mean,
like, I can
reading a
read.
language and speaking it are two very different things.
Yes.
Yeah, to create a translation patch, especially for a game like this, you don't just need Japanese speakers. We have programmers, we have consultants, we have so many different people with different skills that need to come together to make something like this happen.
Yeah. So, and
Yeah.
again, I wish I could have done more, but quite frankly, I was having a blast doing what little I was doing. It was just being able to.
Don't downplay what you did, man. Honestly, like I said, like the even if we were just kind of like consultants on a lot of this automotive stuff and like that, it did help make the gameplay feel a lot more authentic, a lot more understandable, and there were those bits of writing and stuff like that that did help add to the writing of the game overall. This was very much not only a group project,
Yeah.
but a passion project. And the best
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
passion projects are the ones where you can physically feel the passion oozing through the screen. And this game does that in spades through Square's original work. And to a certain extent, I would like to believe what everyone has contributed.
Yes.
I was just gonna say as well. I think obviously for a lot of people playing it, like the translation is the most visible part of what's been changed. But Hilltop, I don't know if you want to talk about like the actual process of getting the game ready to be translated and stuff like that, right? Because it's not as simple as just pulling up the script and translating it. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into actually getting the text in the game. So if you want to talk about that, that would be cool, I think.
Yeah, a little bit of that was talked about for like the typing your name in, but
okay, sorry, I was a little late to the stream.
No. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot more to it than just that. Like there was so much behind the scenes. Is there?
Yeah. I do have like the presentation that I did for this game. I don't know if I want to pull that up and go through it. Maybe we can look at just a couple slides from it a little bit later, if you guys want to look at that. That goes over some much more technical stuff. Because yeah, another whole side to making a translation patch is the hacking, the programming. Like you need really talented programmers to hack at this kind of stuff to make it actually happen. And that's a whole other like story unto itself. And the bigger a game is, the more late in the generation a game is, the more ambitious a game is, the harder it is to hack it. And so like we had a whole bunch of issues when we were that we ran into on this game that we had to overcome. I'll point them out as we get to them, I guess.
If I can say something, I guess kind of on the other side of that, like as someone coming in after a lot of the hard work was done. For those of us who worked on the translation, I think it was very easy to come in and start getting to work because of all the hard heavy lifting and work that Hilltop had already done. He made it easy for other people for us to come in and contribute. If I remember correctly, the script files were text files that we just edited in Notepad,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's like Hilltop had already done all that heavy lifting, and he had it set up in that way so that we could come in, work on it, do our edits, and we could, work together to focus in the script to its final stage, and then Hilltop could take that and put it back into the game. So he, organizationally, I think everything was like very well done. It was just so easy to come in and get to work. So I think that speaks a lot to Hilltop as well.
I think it's important to really talk about what that was like for Hilltop to work on, because this is something that you alluded to earlier in the stream. The
Yeah.
way the game handles text on a chapter by chapter basis or something like that.
So, I guess if you want to like get into like the real nitty gritty, I am working on a video that's gonna focus on the first game that I did, Doctor Slump. Oh no, that was a wall.
Oh no!
Um, and that game is a really good case study on how to do a translation patch, and that will be free for everyone. That will be public. And I normally make those things Patreon only, but I'm gonna make one that is public so everyone can see and learn how these things come together in the technical sense. Um, but yeah, what was I talking about earlier in the stream that you were asking just now?
The way the game was structured or whatever in terms of dialogue and stuff like that, I remember that you mentioning something along the lines of it being individual files or chapters or something along those lines, how it was handled by the game itself.
Yeah, so basically each area of each chapter has its own like script file, and those script files have a whole bunch of like little quirks about them that we had to fix on basically the assembly language level. Because originally the game didn't have any way of increasing the amount of text that it could hold, and it was super highly optimized in a way that we couldn't expand it. So we had to do a very weird, strange hack that rearranged how each like block of data was being put together, so that the text would be at the end of the file, and because it's at the end of the file, you could use the unused space in the CD-ROM sector to hold more text, which probably means nothing to a lot of people, but believe me, it was a bit of work to get it to work correctly. And we ran into a very strange problem. Remember when the game would crash on the game over screen?
Oh God.
I don't remember that actually.
Yeah, it did. And the reason it did was because I was searching for script files, but the game over screen has its own script files, but its length is 0 because there is no text, even though there is a script file. And because I wasn't editing that specific file, because I didn't know it was a script file, the game would crash on the game over screen.
Oops.
That's weird.
Just the eccentricities of working to reverse engineer a game and redo half the writing just to make it work.
It's Race
The other thing
Kenzo.
too is that the
Race
script
Kenzo,
files-
Race Kenzo.
like for example, like the world map on a specific night might have its own script file, so it'll just have like tons and tons of lines, dozens and dozens of lines. And one of the difficult things I remember was, like, if you're not very familiar with the game, it's kind of hard to look at the script and understand like what line goes with what part of the game. So you have to I had to play through the game night by night and try and build a kind of context for myself about like where these lines fit in. And
Right.
Hilltop already knew a lot of that too, so he was really great about helping us understand, like, because the lines aren't necessarily in a certain order. For the most part, like if it's a dialogue scene, you can tell like, oh, it's going back and forth. But on places
But then
like
sometimes you
world
will just
maps
get a
and
line
stuff-
at the end of it where it's like, is that still part of that dialogue, or is this coming from
Right,
somewhere
yeah.
else? Right.
Yeah, that was a little challenge.
Also, quite a bit of duplicated text, if I remember too, like between multiple
Ah,
script
yeah.
files. No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Question for Hilltop: are you going to be saving this live stream as a VOD?
Yes, I should be. I am recording it in case Twitch doesn't save it, but I do have Twitch set to record the VOD as well. I think I'll post it to YouTube after.
Woo! In that corner, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the block just completely shut Kenzo out.
Yeah. Screw you, Kenzo.
Well, I mean, that's what he gets for stalling an automatic.
Oh, pardon me. But yeah, there's just so many weird quirks that I'm not aware of, but that these people have seen in terms of making everything work together. Because you are effectively tearing a game apart and having to rebuild it with fresh puzzle pieces. Oh yeah, the miracle cleaner, whatever.
Oh, it's literally
There
snake
it
oil.
is!
DIY is a pain in the ass. And then I think tomorrow night he gains a bucket seat.
How much of the Zero brings up an interesting point. How much is the flavor text like you guys, and how much of it was like the original writing?
It was in the original. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Like this is flavor text the game basically, even in the original Japanese.
I love that, but I also can't imagine that made this any easier.
No.
Hilltop, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that one of the first things we did was go through all of the parts for the
Yep.
game?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was like the first thing I remember we did was I just sat down with you and we went through all of the parts and I was like, that's what this is, this is this, this is this, this is this.
I remember
And
that.
I described a lot of them in detail, and when I wasn't around, I think you picked up the slack, RX.
Yeah,
and-
and I was like looking to because it's pretty easy to describe what the parts do, but it's important to convey not only what they do, but make it into player understandable language and also truncate it so it doesn't go over any sort of character limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the character limit and stuff like that for any sort of Western language is going to be much longer than anything in Japanese. So making it player readable and still fit in the game with something that is inherently a very technical part system was definitely a challenge, but it was a fun one.
Oh. Mm.
Got more paint after I stole his paint.
I need more paint. Just
Kenzo's
imagining
suspension of
that. I'm just imagining that Sho walks out of his car with a DA sander and some 80 grit and just goes, I'm stealing your paint. If there's anything that I wish we could add is just animations for you stealing parts of the car.
Man. There's so
I
much.
want you to just like imagine the what the animation would be for just cutting the body of a car off.
No, he wheels over a plasma cutter and a death wheel and just get out. I'm taking your body. And then
Tosses all
it's
the
just,
other parts
you
on the
drive
ground.
off and the body of his car is just ratchet strapped to the roof of yours.
Thanks for playing it, Fight Magic.
Thank you for enjoying.
Yeah,
It was,
thanks for coming. It's a
it
good
was a-
process too.
It was a pleasure to work on from beginning to end, really. This project.
God.
Okay, so I kind of
Yes.
want to I kind of want to spoil kind of spoiler something that I think is not something that you might expect, but it was
Oh,
such a fun time working on this project for all involved, myself included. But part of the fun was seeing all of the reactions of people playing the game, where it was fun
Yes.
to
Yeah.
visit live streams. It was fun to see the commentary on like forums and Twitter and stuff like that. It's not something that we kept a close eye on, but we saw a lot of it. And let me tell you, it was incredibly, incredibly motivating and incredibly heartening to see all of this. It was unreal. And I can't help but be grateful to all that have played the game and not only enjoyed it, but appreciated the work that had gone in. It was a huge motivation boost. And it was not just a motivation boost, but I'd argue with something like this, the intent is to have people play a game that they couldn't have before. And the fact that people were playing the game and enjoying it so much was incredible. It really was. And I know Hilltop in particular was especially observant on this. What was it
yeah.
like for you, man?
I mean, I don't know, happy, I guess. This game deserves to be seen and heard and played and all of that. And, you know, I can't pretend to have like actually worked on this, like make this game, but um, seeing people finally enjoy it in this audience and get some of the respect that finally deserved is great. Um, because this game has a reputation in Japan, and it's not a really positive reputation so much. It gets memed on, it gets clowned on a lot for ways that I don't entirely understand, because the actual game backing it up is pretty awesome and amazing, in my opinion. So having people actually play it nowadays and in the West and actually appreciate it for what it is, that's like the happiest thing.
Definitely.
Also, not to derail this, but there's a continuity error that bugs the hell out of me. Where did Keisuke's Civic come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't he supposed to be in an Integra?
Yeah, they were both in the same car and then they were in different cars.
Yeah.
It was being
Oh boy.
it was AI driven.
Yeah. This was a very rare prototype from Wantech in the 90s of a self-driving vehicle.
No, it wasn't. It was just Kenzo. It stole Kenzo's car.
No.
No, that was the
God.
Civic.
That was a Civic!
I know it was, but the Shinsuke Civic.
Oh. Oh. AI generated Honda Civic. Oh, God. Oh my! It was a delight digging into this translation when it released and sharing it with all the people I know. Posting screenshots online, had such a great time falling in love, and the efforts he all put in with the patch. Oh,
Much appreciated, Penny.
Yeah. Whole community has been really great since
it truly has.
releasing this.
Oh my God! It's crazy thinking about all the stories that could be told and how this has kind of just been influential for so many. And I only realized that now because we've been at this for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I technically need to actually wake up at some point tomorrow morning, and keyword on there morning. I got to drive for like 13 hours and get to Ohio.
Damn.
Oh jeez.
I play Racing Lagoon in the real world, and I'm off to go rob somebody of their CA18. Because oh boy,
Look, the fact that you're not taking the body too is disappointing, but I'll let you do you. Okay.
It's a hatchback. Hatchbacks are lame. Everybody's got a hatch. Nobody's got a coupe. Hush.
Oh! The line, the line.
Twin Turd Bros.
Yeah, that's the one Sid was
Yeah.
referencing earlier, where that was like,
I think
yeah,
that was the one that won.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that was me who came up with it. I wish I could say
Yes.
it was a community effort, but
That was still that was the one that won. We had like we had a couple of fun ones
Yeah,
like the
we had
wasted
some-
sparks.
we had some good submissions. But
hold on. I'm sure that list is somewhere, and I think I'd get a kick out of like reading that.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
the-
hold on. Let me pull up Discord. I'll read it.
Thank you.
Hilltop, could you talk a little bit about, I guess, I'm not sure how to put it, like the rating language-wise of the game, because like PS1 era games, especially like Square RPGs, like there wasn't a whole very much like strong language. Maybe like, I don't know, PG-13 levels of language. I guess for those who
Yeah.
aren't familiar with like the North American movie rating system, but could you like comment about like your ideas or your thoughts or guidelines about like how quote unquote hard the game should go language wise?
totally. So I thought about people playing the game nowadays and being true to the spirit of the game. And there are times when I noticed that, like, if these characters didn't swear, it would sound wrong. There are times
Yes.
when I think that swearing can really add to a scene. It can punctuate in a certain way. Obviously, you don't want
If
to
used
overuse it.
sparingly.
Yeah, and in moments of extreme emotion and tenseness, it felt
Yes.
when it felt natural is when I dropped some swear words.
Yeah, it was
Alright.
very deliberate. It was very much used to convey emotion and circumstance. They weren't casually thrown out because that would have diluted the strength of it.
All right, I've got the list.
Oh God!
All right,
Alright.
I'm gonna rattle off pancakes first. There's the Super Buster Brothers. There's the Super Smash Brothers. Super Bumble Brothers, Starsky and Clutch, The Douches of Hazard, Beavis and Douchehead, Dumb and Dumber. We've got in my server. There was the Gay Brigade, the Bang Brothers, Tweedledum and Dumber, Rent-A-Goon, 2-for-1 Suckers, Smokey and the Gasket, the Valve Float Brothers, Suck and Sucker, Wasted Sparks, the Lifter Tickers, VTech Disappointments, the Half Shafts, the Conrods, Crank and Shaft, Dual Quads.
Okay, I
think
have
that-
to. I have to admit, I kind of like cranking shaft.
Yes.
Like that's perfect for how dorky it is without being like ridiculous. Starsky and Clutch is
Douches
really
of Hazards
good.
is also really good too.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a shame that only one could have been chosen because there's like a few good ones, but no, Twin Turd Bros is choice.
Yeah, Hilltop.
Yeah.
Hilltop came in clutch on that one, but
Mm.
Yeah.
this is the kind of moment. This is the kind of fun that can happen behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and it's kind of
Yeah.
amazing when that sort of thing can happen at all. Oh my God.
Oh no! So I think my father's playing Careless Whisperer in the background. Sorry, we've just had music going this entire time, and I hope to God it's not being picked up. Otherwise, we're gonna get copyright struck to hell.
Wait, everyone, put on your seatbelts. Hold on.
It's about to get windy.
Oh
You
God,
can
that's
see right up her
that's
skirt in a sequence in this.
just I love how just that burst of wind out of nowhere is just I guess kind of part of the plot or something. I don't know. Completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, I would point this out. I'm 3 beers into the evening. Of course, I'm pointing this out.
Oh my God, dude.
I think what's interesting is that, like, for the most part, the shots and the cutscenes are static. Like, there's not much movement, and then out of nowhere, there's this like camera move, and she's all twirling, and then it goes back to just like a still like static shot again. It's like,
How,
and this
how
is
else
one
are
of
you gonna
like
emphasize that a
maybe
person is important, huh?
yeah,
yeah, this is like one of maybe a dozen full motion video sequences in the whole game. With, like actual honest to God animation that's not just like, a couple of sprites moving around.
actually, yeah, that's a good point. I can't think of like no other like full motion scenes like come to
There's
mind.
there's the Inferno on the highway.
Oh,
There's
right, yeah.
Yep, there's the sequence that goes on in what used to be your apartment that's now Fujisawa's apartment.
Yes, yeah. Which in that
There's
scene, there's a nice little Easter egg, isn't there?
yes, the little cloud statue.
Yeah.
no animated waterbed though. Missed opportunity.
Unfortunately, waterbeds were hard to render in PS1 days. I imagine that probably would have.
Well, I mean, they still have like another 100 meg on the disc, if assuming it's a standard 700 meg CDR. They only use like 600 megs.
megs.
Ah, yeah. See, we're going to animate all the jiggly physics, and they're just 100 megabytes. Yeah.
Due tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Great job, everyone. Great job. Great job. Also, unrelated, you should pop in and do one of the unofficial races and get yourself a part over at the South Bay Lagoon thing.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was scrolling to the Discord. I'm just gonna bring this back up so I can re-scar you for life, Sid, if you don't mind. Give me one moment.
What? Sorry,
Dad.
getting roasted by my father live is oh no. What have I done? It's the same model. Ah, yes.
Just two characters just have. They're basically recolors of them. It's like by game logic, you have. It's basically Scorpion and Sub-Zero, or just a fake mustache versus a real mustache, which is.
Yes.
I'm not getting into that because plot spoilers, but. Ah, sorry, I've not been feeling well lately. But yeah, just it's the kind of stuff that was like found out through this.
Yes.
That was just absolutely beautiful.
The freaking dual quads. I'm listening. Oh god. Yep, and there's the video of my cat trying to eat my dinner again. I look in my server and it's just girlfriend just posting nonstop video of and images of my cat being my cat.
Oh, hold on, I kind of like on it. I'm just like scrolling through this old stuff on the Discord, and I just scroll past the legendary Racing Lagoon IRL S13.
So, what are you just talking about my car?
Yes, I am.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna bring that back up any further. Let's just say that this man has been so involved with the game that you basically became Sho Akasaki to an extent.
I
Kenzo
literally Kenzo's being Kenzo.
He's he's warming up to being uber cool.
Mm-hmm. He has some
Don't break the bro
bonus.
code.
He has some different dialogue if you actually lost to him on the prologue.
Hmm?
Bruh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, if you somehow lose to Kenzo in the opening act, ignition on. Side note, I'm really saddened that you had to cut the number of exclamation points from this.
Here. It used to be covering like the entire text box, but we needed a bit more space here, so we had to cut some.
the sound effect that plays too is really good. Like this scene's just so funny in the game with the audio and everything.
Scratches on your car are cool, right? Ask the protagonist of Need for Speed Most Wanted that after his car gets keyed.
Nice pinstripe.
Like, this is just so good.
This is one of the screens that we didn't have to edit. It just said driving Yokohama forever in English.
Oh,
They
that
just said
remind-
screw it. That works.
Well, that reminds me of something else that I was gonna try. That I was trying to bring up in creating those loading screens or modifying them. I'm trying to remember what had to be done because where that text is, that flavor text on the bottom left, I believe, in blue, was a lot of, I believe it was Japanese text and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they not only had to be edited, but effectively kind of really redone and cleaned up so it didn't look janky.
Yeah, I have a 14-step process for editing those images, those image files. Not joking, it's actually 14 steps. I have it actually written down somewhere. But yeah, there's a whole for all the games you have to pay attention to color palette and stuff like that because games handle colors in kind of their own way in different systems. So
God.
yeah, so there's a whole bunch. You have to be very careful on how you edit images.
Yeah, color lookup tables are a very interesting breed of antiquated.
I was thinking originally of stuff like having to effectively clean up those background areas because you can't just delete the text. You still have to make it look natural and not like it's been edited over, which it's kind of a remarkable job in and of itself, making it look as natural as it did.
It's very seamless, yeah.
Oh, you may have hammered through it, but the text on screen very briefly said $5,000 stolen from Kenzo's piggy bank.
It's a berry
Bear-shaped
bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more bear lore later in the game.
Yes.
There's
So-
more what later?
Bear lore.
Bear.
Ah.
Bear lore. Bear lore. Bear lore. Bear lore.
Did you hold on? Another one from Fight Magic Item Run. Did you anticipate your Discord turning into a car club?
No. I really didn't know how people would take to this game. I didn't know what kind of people it would attract because I'm myself not really a racing game person. I just don't play a lot of them. Racing Lagoon was an exception because of everything else in the game that's going on. So no, I really didn't see how people would react to it and really kind of how in-depth the game would be and how people would take to it. I didn't really have any idea.
I mean, that's part of the crazy thing about why this game never came out in North America is when you figure what are the two best-selling games on the PS1? It's Gran Turismo and Final Fantasy VII, right?
Yeah.
And somehow we don't get the Gran Turismo Final Fantasy game.
You make a very good point. I kind of wonder if behind the scenes there was some localization team at Square who was tasked with looking at this game, doing something about it, and just thinking, "Oh hell no, we need to come up with an excuse that this doesn't get sent over."
No, man. No. I'm not 100% sure that I buy that they had to invent an excuse, but the intersect of people who, well, at the time would have liked something that, combines RPG with racing stuff. There is a very small group of people who would have liked that. Because generally speaking, RPG fans and driving game fans don't tend to overlap too much. At least not in my experience.
We finally got
And it's
Boys
only-
Sus.
Boy, sus.
The original name, by the way, I didn't change that.
Yeah. That is another one of those big time inside jokes in my server is just anytime somebody modifies the suspension on their car, it's I have equipped the boys sus.
It's wild
Or in
that
a
we got
certain-
driving emotion type S, but not Racing Lagoon. Yeah, that makes sense though, because driving emotion type S was a bit of a technical showcase. I mean, it was a technical disaster too, but it made the PS2 look really good. So
I
that
don't.
makes some.
I hate to say it, but I don't think you have to put technical in front of you know, it
No.
being a disaster.
Well, I
I mean,
mean,
the other. Go ahead.
you know exactly what I'm getting at there. That game was not very good, but like it still looked pretty, and that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was very important at the launch of a console. Much like, Ridge Racer 5, but I don't know. I think this game was so. Yeah, it's important to understand how absurdly niche this game was, where something like this finding an audience wasn't very likely. That's just kind of being true, honest with ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Also,
I mean,
racing.
you say that, but like, look at how many other kind of like B tier RPGs Square localized on the PS1.
I'm not arguing with that. Like, they should have done it. It's just kind of. It's kind of weird that they didn't, and the only thing I can try to do is try to understand why.
I think the elephant in the room might be that it also could have been licensing issues, right? Like none of this stuff is licensed at all. And you look at Driving Emotion, and at least they got actual vehicle licenses for that game. So
Well,
it could have been worries about that, I guess.
Well, I mean, that sort of goes back to the whole Genki / Tokyo Extreme Racer thing, where it wasn't that long after this that debacle had gone down, where games kind of weren't licensing cars, and then the car companies were like, yeah, okay, we've had enough, license our stuff, or we're suing. So,
Right.
if this had taken some time to localize, it could have probably scooted under that issue, but it's still a valid concern nonetheless. And yeah, that's Zero brings up a good point, where the time when this actually released to the public, it was a bit of a dry spell for racing games at the time, I believe.
Yes, but also it released like right when Forza Horizon 4 released. So, a lot of racing game fans were just playing Forza. So
I don't know about that. Like, it was a year ago, so wait. No, yeah, you're right. That would have been Horizon 5.
yeah, well, I forget the actual number. Yeah, it might have been Forza 5. Forza
No,
5.
yeah, no, that's true. But honestly, the kind of people that were... It's important to remember that this wasn't just released in a completed state. There were people playing preview builds and preview builds and preview builds.
Yeah.
So the ones that were interested in the game kind of already had their eyes on it from a distance, or were already playing builds of it. So there was a buildup of this, and there were people playing it. So it's kind of like... It's very much like an early access game on Steam, where just because you say it's released doesn't mean it actually was. It was more just the 1.0 while people were still playing early games. So it had a snowball effect that's not being accounted for when you talk about that.
That's something, I guess that's unique to me, at least. Just the way the patch was released. I'm not too deep into like ROM hacks and translations and like games that have come out over time, but the fact that Hilltop, you released it almost like in installments, like as it was being made,
Yeah.
in progress, is that something that's really common in the ROM hacking community, particularly with RPGs, like longer form games?
No, in fact, that's looked down upon immensely because people hate the
Really?
idea of playing something that they think might never actually get finished.
Ah, okay,
And-
that's a good point. Right.
Because so many projects do get abandoned, and God damn it, keep losing.
So in that case, I have to ask, what made you decide to go with, I guess by modern logic, we would call an episodic release?
So, I mean, thinking back, it was extremely helpful for like debugging and finding typos and stuff like that, having people play.
Yeah.
So that helped out immensely. But also, like, it was kind of proof that the game was being worked on. So to let people know that, yes, this is something that is happening. Look at all this progress. So it let people know that, this was happening. And it worked really well because, like I said, this game has an open world, and people can just play the open world as they wait for chapters to get released. So it just fit perfectly well.
Yeah, that's honestly very true. Where you think about it, and this was, I remember this. You did allude to this, but this was very common in the Discord, where you had these big fans that were playing the game on a chapter by chapter, release by release basis, and much like how an early access game on Steam will be, you have these people playing these games, spotting the typos, as Hilltop said, finding bugs and stuff like that. And it was not only chapter by chapter, but as these issues were found, it would lead to bug fixes and other moments like that, going back past chapters and stuff like that. So it was incredibly useful, while, as you said, also just proving that things are in fact moving along. This isn't some pipe dream. It became a very hands-on process. It was almost part of that passion, because I think another part of this was just being kind of eager to show what the progress is like, because this was such a unique game, and as things were being worked on, once you were able to reach a playable state where you could say everything up to this point has been localized, you're effectively put into a situation where you're proud of the work and just you want other people to see it. Well, that was a kind of like a sense that I personally got, where there's so many amazing things going on. Why wait for people to see it at this point? Not rushing it, but this is cool. I think people should see this. That was kind of a vibe that I got seeing things happen behind the scenes, because this was just, it really is such a fascinating game.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like people talking about the project all the way through as well. And more eyes on it. And, like, I do run, like, a Patreon, and part of the expectations of running a Patreon is regular updates as well. It gets really weird when like, there's money involved, and I try to do, like, well by the patrons who do graciously donate money to me. And, yeah, releasing episodes also, lets them know that, hey, this project is still ongoing, and that their expectations are going to be met. So there's that aspect of it as well. I think it worked out really well for like everyone involved, really, for Racing Lagoon. I haven't done it since then, because I haven't been working on a game that fits that mold so well. But for Racing Lagoon, it was really just the perfect thing to do.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the games that have been worked on since have been not significantly smaller scale, but still relatively smaller scale. Isn't that right?
That is right as well. There are games that are short enough that releasing them in parts would just not be a very satisfying experience.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that little scene is just kind of like alluding to something that's going to happen later in the game. I'm not exactly going to refer to it, but the guy with the massive forehead is another of part of the in-jokes, I suppose, that happened.
Oh
Yeah.
no, not 12 head.
Or Foreman Forehead, as we call him in the game.
Foreman forehead.
Yes.
So, like, there was this one time.
This was a fun scene to do as well.
God.
Just, I remember your initial reaction, RX, to just seeing him and going, I want to eat here.
Yeah, let's not. Moving on. The writing is so good. God, I'm just remembering the kind of like turn this takes just going to the races in Chinatown, where this is all cutesy with Yoko, and then completely different when you start getting to the Chinatown races and stuff like that. Because
All of a sudden, she just rolls up and is sporting this ridiculous machine that's like, oh my god, what?
Oh yeah, no, that Wagon R will absolutely annihilate you if you let it.
Which, for a bulk of the people playing this game,
So, Fight Magic Item Run asks, did anyone who originally worked on this game reach out? So I reached out to the director of this game on Twitter and got a pretty boilerplate message back from him saying, Square Enix is responsible for all communications regarding this game. But, and that was kind of it, unfortunately.
Oh,
He can't really, people can't really give interviews about stuff like this in Japan. They're much more tight-lipped about this kind of stuff. They can't just, have interviews with us or anything.
bit of a shame, honestly, but it's kind of understandable. It's very much this culture of trust over there, if I'm not mistaken.
Can't really comment on it too much, but yeah, they're much more corporate culture is a bit different there, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas here we get all sorts of different stories about people who worked on games from back in the day, but from Japan we get much less. Does my controller make a lot of noise, by the way?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think so.
It's a very
I haven't really
clicky
heard it.
Series X controller. I was kind of worried.
Ooh, nice.
I only got it because it was on a price error on Amazon.
How much?
It was like half price.
Nice.
Nice.
Every once in a while, the game audio comes through your mic. Wait, is the audio not just... Because I haven't heard it come through Hilltop's audio, so...
No, that can't be because I have earphones and can't be getting to the mic. That might be someone else.
if the audio's bleeding through, I apologize profusely.
I don't think it's you. I'm really not sure where it's coming from. Yeah, trying to beat a Yui here is really difficult.
Oh god. Yeah, Chinatown is hell if you are not prepared. I literally have incorporated some speedrun strats and spent months just trying to figure out what's the best way to attack Chinatown just so you can get the supercharger on night 2.
Doesn't this one just sort of come down to quick acceleration and short wheelbase car?
It comes down to consistent car control more than anything else, believe it or not.
I mean,
It's
fair.
that is the biggest piece of it all, mixed with you do need to have some amount of, decent power, lightweight, and responsive maneuverability. But as Jimmy Broadbent proved, you can absolutely destroy her with the standard-ish AE86.
So basically, just don't drive a bus through here. Got it.
Not on night 2.
All right. So when are you gonna do that?
I'm about to go drive something fairly similar through fairly similarly tight roadways, so give me 3-4 days.
Yeah, we'll do.
And I'm sure you'll hear about the box truck with an RX-7 being towed behind it that's just basically manjiing down the straightaways of Ohio.
I just love the little bits of semi-cheesy poetry for the loading screens and that rising moon rock and roll.
Yeah.
Because every night has a different screen to it too. Not every night, every round of Chinatown in this. And they all have unique writing on it too.
Yeah.
How many loading screens were there? I believe I remember you mentioning a number, but it's a lot.
So there's probably 90 of them in the game, and there was 60 that we needed to translate, something like that. So A whole bunch, really. And Rising Moon Rock and Roll, by the way, was there in the original.
Oh, I can believe that.
It's also at the very end of the game. It shows up again. I don't know what they think it means.
I'm not sure we're ever going to get an answer to that, and
I
quite
think
frankly,
it's-
we don't really need to.
Yeah,
Also,
I
go
think
with
it's
the
best
wheels.
left unsaid.
That'd be wonderful to like sit down with the writers of the game and just to try and get their angle on like where their minds were at with like their usage of English and like I don't know. It's almost like impressionistic or like abstract painting. Like, it's like, I don't really know what this means, but it expresses my feelings about whatever.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Just
You
put
know, it's
together
kind
some
of like,
words that sound cool together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it all comes
or you-
together in the end. Like, there's a reason that the way people talk in this game is the way they talk, and it represents like the change in culture that's going on. It's really this everything about this game comes together in the end if you really like think about it. It's like Dark Souls in that way. Crud, I lost.
Yeah, the winning combo I've found is the Starlet body, the 3S GE engine, and the mini or the micro GT chassis. Just put as much parts on all of those as you can, and you can get through and run. You have to beat like a 14-second time on the track. It's nuts.
Well, I'm not losing my ECU.
Oh,
Oh boy.
I mean, thank you, save states.
We're gonna get her.
curious if anyone has burned this ROM and run it on real physical hardware.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Several people have. Like a friend of mine who I went to college with who goes by the name Metal. He, like, I introduced him to Racing Lagoon. He got hooked, and then he followed along the translation patch, but he's super huge on the physical hardware side of things for this. So he went out of his way to mod a PS1 and burn multiple discs. Not just like one or two. Like, I have 2 of his burned copies for my own shenanigans. And he has gone through and played this game on physical hardware start to finish.
That's so
That's-
cool. Fody is on the chat
that's
playing
one of
this on
those things
CRT,
that-
would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like-
not like what Fody is saying in the chat in particular is like especially cool. Like I'm actually kind of curious how the text would have held up on a CRT.
Ah,
It
Yeah.
actually looks really nice. I can comment on this because I used to have a really nice CRT, which we no longer have. We got rid of it because it was big, it was bulky, and but it looks really nice on a CRT. And if you have the chance to play this on genuine hardware,
Yeah, I did get a chance to play this on a CRT, the original Japanese version, and it looks. You notice so many of these effects that it goes for. It look much better on a CRT, especially the nighttime
Yeah.
stuff, and like
Oh,
the
yeah.
way the 2D graphics look and everything, and how it blends together. It looks incredible on a CRT. Unfortunately, I got rid of my CRT because it was taking up too much space. But I wish I had it back.
yeah, story of my life.
kind
I
of.
had to get rid of my
um,
PVM when I moved to Japan, and it's like my biggest regret.
Yeah.
Oh,
Going one step further with like burning the game to a CD and playing it on physical hardware, like a lot of times there's for example reproduction carts and even like the box art and everything is reproduced. Like Hilltop, if someone were to want to put out their own version of I guess like the physical packaging of the PS1 package for Racing Lagoon, like the instruction manual and the back of the CD case and everything, would you be interested in like translating that?
Um, people have gone ahead and sold like bootleg versions of our translation patch,
Really?
and with like yeah, with their own
I'm-
like packaging on it in English and
Oh.
stuff.
I kind of want to see that, if I'm being honest.
I had a link to it somewhere. You can probably find it online. Um, but yeah, that already kind of exists out there.
Interesting.
In this weird way, that's kind of awesome. It's like the work is good enough to be stolen, for a lack of a better explanation.
Yeah, multiple of the games that I've worked on, they've sold bootlegs of.
Can you kind of talk about your, I guess, ROM hacking localization timeline career? Like, starting like from your first game that you worked on and just kind of going on down the line.
Yeah, so I started. Actually, the first thing I did when I got into this and started to look at what I could do, um, I was unemployed at the time, and I'm like, well, I gotta do something with my life. Let me try to work on the skills that I have, because I went to school for programming. That's what I have a degree in, but I really didn't learn anything at all in school, and was kind of looking for what I could do with my life. So the first thing I did was write an Atari 2600 game. Actually, I did the programming for it, and that was kind of fun. I learned a little bit about kind of the low level programming skills that you would need to have if you do want to move into localization of a game, ROM hacking, and so I learned some skills from that. And after that, I was thinking, like, what could I do from there? So, well, I had been learning Japanese. Um, Basically, I would listen to like audio tapes when I was driving to my shitty job, um, of like weird Japanese business learning. They were really funny. They were targeted at like business people going over to Japan, so it taught them how to like ask for drinks and pick up girls in Japanese. It was really funny. But
What?
it also taught like basic
What?
Japanese grammar
The
and
two
stuff.
things you need on your business trip.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, booze and babes. What else? What else do you really need?
So I did that. Then I read some like I got some books on learning the writing system and stuff. I did learn kanji. I learned how to write the strokes and everything, and I kept practicing at that and learning more and more. And then I thought about, with the skills I have, like what can I actually accomplish? And I came up with fan translation, because that requires Japanese and it requires low level programming, which were the two kind of things I was interested in. And so I looked for a game, and Dr. Slump is the one that always stood out to me because of how it looked. I really, really love Mega Man Legends in particular, and how that game looks graphically. And basically, there are very few games that can match how that game looks on like a low poly level, but Dr. Slump is one of them. So I like hammered my head against that game, learning basically everything from the ground up on how to ROM hack and get at the files and make it do what I wanted. And so that's what I did. And it took like 3 months of making almost no progress on it until it finally clicked and I understood how to do all of this stuff.
Awesome.
That's such a crazy story. More so when you recontextualize this as, well, it's important for the people in the stream to remember that Racing Lagoon was only your second game doing this.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, I didn't know how people would take to that, honestly. most of the people that work in this and have like a reputation, like Esper Knight, who was in this in this chat very early on. I don't know if you caught him. He's been doing this for like 20 years. I when I had announced Racing Lagoon, I had been doing this for like 4 months and was basically just flying by the seat of my pants. But I was confident that I could figure it out, and I only announced it until after I had figured it out. Until after I like Pancake said, I had English text in the game working. So as soon as I figured that out, I announced it. And having done that one game was actually enough to convince a lot of people that this was actually going to happen. With the first game, people were kind of skeptical with Dr. Sloan. But after that, and after the extremely positive reception that it got, because a lot of projects, especially nowadays, fan translations come with a lot of asterisks. Sometimes it's like, oh, this game got translated, oh, but it's machine translated. Oh, this game got translated, oh, but it's just the menus and it's not the dialogue. Or, oh, this game got translated, but it's the dialogue and the menus are still in Japanese. There are all these asterisks to a lot of these projects, but, I try to release all of my projects with 0 asterisks and do whatever it takes to get it 100% complete. And that's kind of my reputation now, I guess. And I guess there's a lot of trust now after having done these projects.
Were there any mistakes or missteps that you made when you were releasing and announcing and putting Dr. Slump together that you learned from that informed how you did things with Racing Lagoon?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I originally was planning to. You know what? I did actually release Dr. Slump in episodes. I forgot I had done that. But unlike Racing Lagoon, I don't think hardly anyone was actually playing the episodes as it came out. People just played it after it was finished.
For Dr. Slump, did you make the announcement that you were doing it before or after you had cracked the English text?
Oh, I would never announce anything until I cracked a game. Dr. Slump included. I already had English text in the game by the time I had announced it, and that was in the actual trailer that I announced it with.
Cool.
But a lot of the process has not changed from Dr. Slump until now. It kind of just worked out of the gate, pretty much. What's different now is the people that I work with. Really, most of my projects I do work with people on. The Racing Moon was the most involved. I had the most people. But now there are specific people that I reach out to and work with. And if you guys would have a game that you want to work on, let me know as well.
Look, if ever you do another racing game, call me, and I'd be absolutely willing to lend a hand. I mean, hell, I'd be willing to help out with just about anything, but I suspect I might not be the best in the world, given my lack of knowledge of the Japanese language, but Lord knows I'm still willing to try and go through and learn video games for the hell of it.
What's that game, Toge Max G? Is that the game?
Oh, dude, there's a whole bunch of varying games out there. Like, the one that's taken up most of my time recently has been Option Car Tuning Battle Spec R, which is actually a really fantastic and in-depth game, which is in just enough English that you can figure it out on your own, but there's a lot of Japanese there and a lot of stuff. But it is an absolute, time capsule of what car culture was in Japan circa 1990. I'm not sure what year it was.
So I do want to go ahead and throw this out there, Hilltop. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with a programmer by the name of Silent, also goes by the name of Cookie PL Monster, very prolific in the Grand Theft Auto space, a little bit of Gran Turismo, a little bit of work in emulation and stuff like that. Believe it or not, the Racing Lagoon localization actually inspired him to try to see if he could try his hand. I believe it was another PS1 Japanese racing game. I can't remember if it was like Advan Racing or something along the lines. It was a very simple project. I don't know how far that got, but it was really impressive seeing a known programmer and modder with like a legendary reputation. Anyone who's played the Grand Theft Auto games with the silent patch has this guy to thank.
Oh,
Actually
that's
try his
silent.
hand.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it was that silent, and he was
That's the
inspired
only
by
way I
this.
played GTA on PC.
Yeah, that guy decided to try his hand at this sort
Oh,
of stuff
wow.
with the PS1 because of the Racing Lagoon localization, and because there are quite a few racing games in Japanese that never really made it to the States. Most of them are small. I would honestly argue, and this is the part where Sid's gonna know what I'm talking about. A few people in the chat are gonna give me a standing ovation. The one racing game that I can think of in Japanese that would be on a level of Racing Lagoon in terms of depth and not necessity to translate and localize, but it's kind of like the other Japanese racing game Hidden Gem, would be a Genki racing game by the name of Racing Battle C1 Grand Prix.
Oh
Which-
God!
Yep, there it is.
I remember bringing this up to Hilltop as a possible future project after Racing Lagoon wrapped up a year ago. Oh my God, that game would be. Oh,
So, to, I guess, contextualize this for people in the chat or in the call who may not know, Genki's racing games have a tendency to put action at the forefront, but behind the scenes, there's a ton of writing, a ton of lore, a ton of individual elements and moving parts that the player almost doesn't necessarily have to be aware of, but understanding all of it makes the experience so much sweeter. By that I mean to, I guess, really explain or put this in a sense, explain the scale of this in a way that people may understand. Every single rival character in Genki's racing games, in their mainline racing games, including C1 Grand Prix, each have names, biographies, and individual character traits for every single one of them. That's a lot of writing and a lot of like small incidental dialogue. Never mind the conversations that happen in like the bulletin boards and stuff like that, because the game emulates an old school BBS system for
yeah, because those were
characters
like
leaving notes
brand
and
new
stuff
at
like
that time.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
at least for like 2004 standards, anyway.
I mean, wasn't it even true of like TXR 3 or Kaido Battle or whatever as well?
The original Kaido Battle as well as Kaido Battle 2 and 3, because those all came out in about around the same time.
Also, just going to go ahead and throw this out there because this is still something that I personally find funny. The American and European localizations for those games were so bad.
Oh God.
Like no one can say with a straight face and completely unironically no humor that the localization for Tokyo Extreme Racer 2 was actually good. Except for the one person in the chat who doesn't like to talk without the caps button locked up.
Oh,
It
let him
was-
have his fun.
Hey, I'm proving a point here. Those games they weren't even consistent between games, despite the fact that they were all localized by Crave Entertainment.
Oh,
So it
God.
was very inconsistent.
But going back a bit, I had not heard about the silent guy or him calling out Racing Lagoon match in particular. Do you have a link to that or anything? Because I've never seen that.
Okay, so I'll see if I can like talk to him if you want, because this was something that was happening sort of behind the scenes in the Time Extend community Discord, but I don't know if that was ever really talked about publicly.
Okay.
But let me see if I can like see if he said anything about it publicly, because I am curious. It was one of those side projects that he didn't go through with completely because he needed help from a friend of his, and they weren't really ever able to like complete that. So let me see if I can find something on Twitter.
In the meantime, have you gotten requests, Hilltop, for like games to work on in the future from like I don't know, anybody on Twitter or anywhere else? What kind of requests have you gotten?
Yeah, in fact, there was a person recently that came to me with a request for the game and an offer to cover the development financially that
Oh wow.
I'm going to turn down, I think. I think with having the Patreon and all this stuff being kind of beholden to that, and the fact that this individual made it seem like it might have been like a crowdfunding project or something. I don't know if that's a good avenue to go down. Because we're already kind of playing with fate a little bit, because any of these projects can be taken down at any time, basically. And if it comes to the point where people are paying for translations directly, and it's not like my choice entirely on what I get to work on, then it gets into a much even weirder legal spot. Aside from that, yeah, people come all the time with suggestions on what games to work on. But
If you don't mind sharing, what was the game they were asking for?
I don't think I can tell you later, but
Okay.
I don't want to say it for that person's sake, because they might want to go to someone else to maybe make that game happen. So I don't want to single them out.
Sure.
Unrelated, but I did throw a little bit of that in the stream chat in the Discord. I'll also leave one of them in stream chat as well. But yeah, it turns out it was Advan Racing that Silent was working on. But yeah, that is like, it's crazy that people just sort of started coming to you for this sort of stuff. In a sense, it's like the proof is there that it's possible, and the collective effort of this really did show a certain passion for things and a knack for things that is a very important skill to have for these sort of projects and stuff like that. It's not something that just anyone can do.
Yeah. And if I were to accept money for a game, like, that would make it would be much harder to get people to help with games and such. If
that's actually very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like with Racing Lagoon, for all of us, it was like a passion project. We didn't mind like volunteering or giving our time. It was just so exciting to be a part of. But yeah, that is the other part of it. Like with when money gets involved and you bring multiple people onto a project, like, I don't know, like you said earlier, when money comes in, just things can kind of get weird.
Yeah. Silent made Gran Turismo 60 FPS. There's a game that I made 60 FPS on PS1.
Ooh, what was that?
I tweeted about it. It was the Fist of the North Star game on PS1. That was done by the same studio that made Dr. Slump. If you've never seen that game looks incredible. It's a game that I wanted to translate but ran into some issues with.
Is that like a patch to make it run at 60 FPS on emulators, or would that work on actual hardware as well?
It unlocks the frame rate on consoles, but obviously it can't really hit 60 FPS very often on console. Really, on an overlock emulator is when it actually like shines.
Yeah, same thing with Localization and Gran Turismo 2, really. You have to like use the emulators overclock features to make that viable.
I hate to say this, but I have to hop off because, quite frankly, I'm freaking tired and I have a long day ahead of me tomorrow. So I will talk to you all later. It's been a pleasure being here. And I need to actually stream this game more often because, quite frankly, Racing Lagoon is fun and I suspect people would get a crack out of my antics. Thank you all.
Yeah,
I will talk to you all at some point.
In general, dude.
Yeah, look, as soon as my life calms down enough that I can, I will.
You know what? We might be able to call it very soon. Actually,
Yeah, we've been at this for like 3
yeah,
hours now.
2.5
it's getting
hours.
over 2.5
Yeah.
hours,
Sid, can you do me a
and
favor?
we're getting to like the first big spoiler moment of the game. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
anyone's interested, and some people have said that they haven't played the game and are looking to play it themselves. So we might call it then. Here then,
Definitely a
basically.
good idea. Sid, can you
Yeah.
say something in the chat real quick? I want you to post your Twitch username if, because you are like the Racing Lagoon player that like most of us know. So if people want to watch you stream that, I want them to know where you can go.
Good night. Good night. Hang on. I will in just a moment if I can actually remember what my Twitch login is. Apparently, they discontinued the app in the time I was using it, so now I have to actually remember what the hell my login was.
Oh my god! All right.
Yeah, so
Message for you from Zero Hilltop. He says, "Thank you for putting this stream on. It's been my pleasure to meet you. It's been my pleasure to meet you."
Oh yeah, no problem. It's nice to see people actually come out and watch. I really didn't know how many people would come and watch this stream, but it's been filled with comments and stuff the whole time. It was great.
Oh yeah, it's. I'm honestly really grateful that you put this on. It's been so much fun reminiscing.
Yeah,
Absolute
and
blast.
also extremely fun to see all you guys again and talk.
Oh
Since-
yeah.
Totally.
okay, there we go. Let me just post the thing in if my mouse will actually work. Oh my god, I hate this laptop.
Good to hear you again. Wishing you the best and things are on the up. Thank you very much. That actually really means a lot to me. My life has been busy. Maybe I'll discuss that another time. This is Hilltrop's stream, but it's been good hearing from you all. You have a good night. Thank you all. It's been great to hear you all talk about it. No problem, Foamans. No, mostly been lurking, but thank you for the stream and of course the patch.
Yeah.
No idea how excited I was to finally play this game, and it's been.
Somebody else is somebody else is gonna have to actually punch my name in and say go follow Sid _ 8803 all caps.
Let me see if I can pull that up because I remember like it's been so long, but I believe. Let me double check the information real quick.
Mm.
It was Sid Dash 8803
_
_. All right, let me see. I mean, yep, that's you, all right. So you'll recognize the profile picture. So yeah, it is gonna be. Do you really want to know?
Is it Forza Rush passing me the booth?
Yes, it is.
Then yeah, just post it. And yes, Robo, that is me. Punished, yeah, I'm on a number of Discord servers, and my username is relatively similar across the board. You can catch me in, either follow me there, and eventually I will stream, and you will get notifications for it, or find me in Hilltop's Discord server because I'm there.
Yeah, you're still frequent in there, aren't you?
Yeah, I post in there from time to time, yeah.
Well, cool. I think we're gonna call it there. Thank you so much to everyone who came out. Thank you, Fody, for your message. Yeah, it was exciting to have people finally play this game. Pleasure to work on. Pleasure to be here with everyone. And yeah, I don't know when we'll ever stream again. I might stream maybe some hacking as a side project, maybe at some point. I thought about doing that. I don't know if anyone would actually come out to something that technical. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming out, and that's I think that's gonna be it from us for now. Good night, everyone.
Cool.
You all
Thanks
have
for
a
coming
good
on.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Oh,
night.
hold on. Before we go, is
Alright.
there a place that you're going to be able to upload the VOD once this is done? Will it be
Yes, it'll be. It should be on the Twitch channel, which will get deleted after a while. But I do have a recording, and I will put that on YouTube.
there you go. So if there's anything that you guys may have missed, or if you want to share this with someone else, or just
Yeah.
rewatch it later yourself, you should be able to do so.
Yeah, I'll tweet out the link to it after it uploads. So just watch out for that.
All right.
Cool. See you, everyone.
See ya.
All right.
Adios.
Good night.
Yeah.